Hello guys, welcome back to the Mr. Smelly Fragrance Show. So today we're going to be looking at 5 great long-lasting men's fragrances for winter time. Before we do that, I've got to make some money from this channel somehow. So here's a quick message.
Still drinking the same old lager? For heck's sakes, why? Isn't it time that you stepped up your beer game and try the new Vietnamese Imperial Beaver Lacto Coffee Stout from Apocalypse Hedgehog Brewing? Vietnamese coffee beans are eaten by wild beavers in Russia and then excreted and collected from the forest floor. We then add these to our special stout recipe and mature the beer in abandoned vodka barrels near Chernobyl for 3 years. Our head brewer Chester Apple Cluster then takes a bath in the beer before it is bottled and re-fermented in hot water bottles. Buy a case of 6 cans for just £99 shipped to your door. You will never go back to Bud Light again. No doubt about that. Visit our website and discover the world of eco-sustainable indie hipster neo-nonconformist brewing today.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mr. Smelly Fragrance channel. So today we're going to talk about 5 really good long-lasting fragrances for men that are great in the colder weather. Today's video is brought to you sponsored by my great friends over at Fragrance Samples UK, where you can buy all of the fragrances mentioned in this video and a range of over 600 other designer and niche fragrances. It's my recommended place if you're in the EU or the UK to buy your fragrance samples. They've got a stunning range and it's run by my great friend Greg from the channel Greggieboy76, one of the great YouTube reviewers of all time. The link to their website is in the description of this video. Okay, so let's start off just by explaining what I'm doing here. So I'm going to pick 5 really good cold weather fragrances that I think will really last well and have overall good performance, which of course is one of the big things for viewers of these kind of channels. I hear people all the time talking about longevity and performance on fragrances as a big thing. I haven't called it a top 5 because I can't say these are the only or the top 5, and there's loads of other things that I keep mentioning in videos like Naxos by Xerjoff, which would be a really good choice, which I'm leaving out because it gets tiresome if I reiterate the same point. But these are 5 ones that I may have mentioned here and there before, but a little bit new for some of you viewers, I hope. Okay, so number 1 then, it's the only one in the list where I don't actually own a full bottle, and this is AMOUAGE Interlude Man Black Iris. So I've got my lovely sample here from Fragrance Samples UK. The nice thing about the samples of this size, we get these 5ml samples. I actually think I ordered a 3ml, and that also comes in this same size of sprayer. These ones really spray out a lot of juice, so it's really nice. Sometimes if you buy carded samples from companies, or if you get them free in the shop, they just give you this tiny dot of liquid, but with these you get a load of juice and you can really try stuff out. Okay, so Interlude Man. This is a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Black Iris. Okay, so this, of course, is a flanker to the original Interlude Man by AMOUAGE, which is known as the Blue Beast. A very, very potent, smoky, oriental, Middle Eastern kind of smell. Very, very powerful. Many people consider it sort of an artistic masterpiece, but maybe they buy it and they never wear it because it's too much, and other people don't like it and it's just too heavy. So perfumer here, Pierre Negrin, who did the original version of this, and also Sunshine Man, another great one from AMOUAGE, has come out with, I guess, a flanker, which seems to be something some of the niche houses are starting to do now. You've got Aventus Cologne and all that kind of thing. What they've done here basically is when you smell this, you definitely get that DNA. I hate using that term about fragrances. They don't have DNA, I don't think. Only people and maybe animals do. But you get that aura of AMOUAGE Interlude Man. You'll recognise it. But they've really smoothed the edges down and made it a little bit more wearable, a little bit less bombastic and in your face, but without dumbing down or sort of watering it down. So I will quickly read the notes, which I must admit I've written them down on a piece of paper here. So we've got bergamot, rosemary, violet leaf, orris, amber, olibanum, labdanum, myrrh, vanilla, leather, oud, patchouli, sandalwood and cedar. So a heck of a note listing. Basically you've got a lot of the components that you'll recognise. The smokiness, the woody, sort of semi-oriental, exotic, bit of oud in there, but it's not an oud bomb. And then they've just smoothed it out with this lovely buttery orris root or iris note. No, it will not remind you particularly of Dior Homme Intense, but that note, it's in there, but it's playing a very different role in smoothing out this fragrance. And I don't think it will particularly remind many people of Fahrenheit, which apparently some people are thinking that it might do because it's got a violet leaf. You won't pick up on any of that, but what you'll get is a smoothed out, sort of rather more suave and sophisticated, just a touch less bombastic version of Interlude Man. Now, normally I don't like that idea because I don't want things dumbed down, but in this case I think they've enhanced it. They've made it more wearable and a really beautiful and likeable fragrance. So great stuff from AMOUAGE. Oh, of course, and you can take it for granted from me, That one lasts really well, and it still has almost the same kind of beast mode performance as the original fragrance, hence justifying its place in this list. I should also mention that we're very proud and happy to say that you can sample Gravitas Pour Homme, the fragrance by my brand Naughton and Wilson, at Fragrance Samples UK. Next up, we've got one that I've mentioned a couple of times before on my channel. It's Rasputin from the house of SWEDOFT. This is a really great fragrance. So SWEDOFT, a Swedish-based fragrance house, and they offer really, really reasonable prices for their full bottles, but you might want to try this before you go and take the plunge with a sample. So this one is a very, very spicy, woody, slightly fresh masculine fragrance. So it's got a bit more freshness in it than the one that came before in this list, and it's a really, really beautiful combination of a bit of citrus. There's a note of ginger, which I really like in there, some other sort of subtle spices and lovely woody tones. Some people have compared it to X for Men by Clive Christian. There is a similarity, but it's got quite a similarity, but I wouldn't say it's an out and out clone. But if you enjoy that, you may well enjoy this. Price wise, if you did opt for full bottle, this is much better value for money, and I think the quality, you know, absolutely up there with anything from any other niche house that I've ever sampled. So I'm going to give you the note listing. Actually, you've got bergamot, jasmine, pineapple, cardamom and patchouli in this one, cinnamon, cloves, Mexican chocolate, cedar, oud, tonka bean, musk and incense. Now, they don't list ginger, but one of the other bits of blurb does mention it, and I definitely pick up on a really nice gingery tone with all those other spices in there. Long lasting, again, really good performance on this eau de parfum, and something just really, really versatile. Kind of, it doesn't smell old school or dated like some of my favorites. Probably a bit more approachable than even the iris version of AMOUAGE Interlude Man, and an absolutely beautiful and great performing fragrance that, of course, not many other people are going to be wearing, so well worth checking that one out. Next in the list, let's go for a legend of the Fragcom. It's La YUQAWAM by RASASI. I'll do this as a sort of either or with Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford, which I don't own, and there's a reason for that, because this is such a close copy, and some people even think better than the original Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford, that I feel I don't need that in my collection. So RASASI from La YUQAWAM has been around for a few years now. It takes that very distinctive suederol, I think is the ingredient, the accord there, which is a kind of modern leather tone. It takes that, mixes it with this little hint of fruity raspberry, bit of saffron, some floral notes and some other things in there, just for this really, really kind of alpha male, masculine, potent kind of smell. That's very kind of, it's kind of modern. At the same time, it's got this sort of grown-up alpha male vibe about it. It's sort of, you know, if we had powerhouses back in the 70s and 80s, this is sort of a 21st century style powerhouse modernizer with this really distinctive leather note. Great performance, kind of almost a beast mode one, this La YUQAWAM, and probably a little bit oppressive if it's a hot sunny day. So perfect for these colder times of year that we're coming into now. Definitely well worth checking this one out. You could always do the A/B thing and get a sample of this and Tuscan Leather and decide if you think there's a big difference. Some people even prefer this, and if you opt for a full bottle, it's much cheaper than Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. Right, back to something a bit more exotic now. So the next selection here is BORTNIKOFF Oud Maximus Autumn 19. So the house of BORTNIKOFF has been one of the houses that's really impressed me most in the last couple of years. One of these indie artisanal houses where a lot of the ingredients are sourced by the perfumer himself, and he distills the tinctures. So this is in no way your standard kind of department store oud accord that is often very nice, but in so many other fragrances. I think there's 2 or 3 different types of exotic real oud in this fragrance, but there's also a lot of fresh and even some floral notes in this one. It does have, I think, is it tangerine or bergamot? There's definitely a citrus thing in the opening of the fragrance, a little bit of a rose thing in there. It has a nice musky undertone and a really, really just magical, I don't claim to be an expert on oud, but if you've ever thought, oh, I'm not into oud fragrances don't do it for me, I think this real oud, and the way, I don't know what he's done with these 3 different types or whatever's in it, but it's just got this real magical thing, and this is probably the fragrance that's made me think, okay, I get why oud is so popular and why people think it's so magical. And this one, of course, extremely good longevity from it's an extract of parfum. Dmitry Bortnikov, one of the most exciting perfumers out there. You can try them out at Fragrance Samples UK. And you know, if you try one house this year that you've never tried before, I think Bortnikov could be it. Oud Maximus, a fantastic example of his style, and of course with that rich, woody, exotic, pungent thing that oud gives you, is great for the cold weather, but actually not oppressive, very refined, and despite this sort of slightly terrifying name, Oud Maximus, it should be called Oud Refinedimus, because it's a very refined and very beautiful exotic oud fragrance. Last but not least, we've probably got the only thing that is a relatively inexpensive fragrance on the list, and this is Moustache Eau de Parfum from ROCHAS. So this is a really great grown-up kind of almost a tuxedo-like fragrance. Why do I say that? Some people do compare it to YSL's Tuxedo, an expensive niche scent, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful masculine, warming, comforting, ambery, spicy kind of scent, which is perfect for being dressed up, I think, on a night out in autumn or winter. I'll give you the note listing for this one. So we have tangerine, pink pepper, rose, cedar, benzoin and patchouli. So this combination of spices, woods, amber, kind of camphorous tone, something warming, something comforting, kind of almost resinous. It almost smells sticky, if a fragrance can smell sticky, but in a really good way. So a really, really classy, grown-up fragrance. I think there was an old version of Moustache by ROCHAS years ago. I've never tried that. I think this is a completely new thing, maybe that takes some of the hints of that, but it doesn't smell like an old school fragrance. Again, it's kind of a masculine, grown-up, almost powerhouse, but very sophisticated, rich, warm, woody, spicy fragrance for the modern 21st century man. All of the choices in this list might lean more towards more mature men in their 30s and upwards, but whatever age you are, you're never too young to try and smell or act in a mature way. So all of these choices would be great, and they all perform exceedingly well and last well. So guys, don't forget to check out the link for Fragrance Samples UK down in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.